On January 17, 2026, what began as a routine government flight over Indonesia would soon become one of the country's most baffling aviation mysteries. The day started like any other, with passengers and crew boarding the ATR 42500, unaware that their journey would end in uncertainty. News of the disappearance sent shockwaves across the nation, as people everywhere stopped to watch the unfolding story. The sense of disbelief was palpable, with families and strangers alike glued to their screens, searching for answers. The Indonesia Air Transport turboprop, on a vital government mission, vanished without a trace. No distress call, no debris, just a sudden and chilling silence. It was as if the aircraft had simply slipped out of existence. In the control tower, air traffic controllers' repeated calls went unanswered. The plane's signal faded from radar, leaving behind only questions and a growing sense of dread. The flight, scheduled from Yogyakarta to Makassar, was a familiar and well-traveled route. But this time, something went terribly wrong, and the routine journey turned into a nightmare. The disappearance quickly became more than just a news alert. It was a national mystery that dominated headlines and conversations in every corner of Indonesia. Initial reports were sparse and confusing. The plane was overdue, contact had been lost, and search and rescue teams were mobilizing. Officials faced a barrage of questions as they tried to piece together what little information they had. The routine of a Saturday was shattered. People who had been going about their day were suddenly confronted with the sobering reality that a modern aircraft could simply vanish in the age of technology. As night fell, the mystery only deepened. The nation braced for answers, but none came. The darkness seemed to echo the uncertainty that now gripped the country. The ATR 42500, a workhorse of regional aviation and known for its reliability, was now at the center of a human drama that no one could have predicted. On board were dedicated professionals, pilots, crew, and government officials, on a mission to serve their country. Now, they were the ones in need of rescue, their fate unknown. As darkness settled over South Sulawesi, the search began in earnest. Rescue teams faced a daunting challenge: vast seas, dense forests, and little to guide them but hope and determination. The world watched as Indonesia faced a crisis that would test its resolve and unity. International media picked up the story, and messages of support poured in from around the globe. The missing plane was no longer just a flight number. It was a story that belonged to everyone. Families waited anxiously at airports, clinging to hope as hours stretched into days. The search for answers had only just begun. Helicopters scoured the jungles, boats combed the waters, and every lead was pursued, no matter how faint. The nation waited, united in hope and fear, as the mystery of the vanishing flight cast a long shadow over Indonesia's skies. On board PKTHT that day were 10 dedicated individuals, 7 highly trained crew members, each with years of experience navigating Indonesia's skies and seas, and 3 officials from the Ministry of Marine Affairs and Fisheries, whose daily work is to safeguard the nation's maritime future. This was no ordinary flight. It was a critical mission to protect Indonesia's vast, threatened marine resources, an archipelago of over 17,000 islands, where the ocean is both a lifeline and a legacy. The ministry team was tasked with aerial surveillance, using advanced technology to spot illegal fishing vessels, monitor protected zones, and help enforce laws that keep Indonesia's waters teeming with life. Their work was vital for millions who depend on the sea for food, jobs, and cultural identity: fishermen, families, and entire coastal communities. Minister Sakti Wahyu Trenggono confirmed the gravity of their mission, stating, "3 of our employees were on an aerial monitoring mission to protect our marine resources, a responsibility we do not take lightly." The missing were not just names on a list. They were guardians of the ocean, colleagues who inspired those around them, friends who shared laughter, and family members whose absence leaves a void. The crew, silent professionals, faced the unexpected in what should have been a routine journey, prepared for challenges but never imagining the ordeal that would unfold. Now they were at the heart of a national emergency, as search and rescue teams mobilized across land, sea, and air, hoping for a miracle. 10 souls, united by duty and a shared sense of purpose, vanished into uncertainty, leaving behind questions, hope, and heartbreak. Their mission became a symbol of service and loss, a reminder of the risks faced by those who protect the seas for generations to come. Flight PKTHT departed Yogyakarta, bound for Makassar, a standard route over land and sea. The flight was routine until its final approach, when all contact ceased. The last communication came as the plane neared South Sulawesi's coast, between 1:17 and 1:30 p.m. After that, silence. No distress call, no warning. The aircraft's icon vanished from radar, as if plucked from the sky. The sudden loss of contact suggested a rapid, catastrophic event. The last known position, about 20 kilometers northeast of Makassar Airport, low over the water. Unconfirmed tracking data hinted at a steep, fatal descent. The mystery deepened. What happened in those final moments? The search for answers focused on a narrow window of time and space. Authorities raced to pinpoint the search area, zeroing in on Maros, South Sulawesi, near Mount Bulusarong. The terrain was unforgiving. Dense forests, steep ravines, and mist-shrouded peaks. Ground teams faced a daunting challenge. The possibility the plane crashed inland, not at sea. The last electronic signal gave rescuers a starting point. Helicopters and ground teams mobilized, bracing for a perilous search. The search grid was calculated from the plane's speed, altitude, and direction. The mission: find any trace of the missing aircraft in the wild heart of Maros. The race against time had begun. Indonesia launched a massive search. Over 400 personnel from the Air Force, police, military, and Basarnas, joined by local volunteers. Helicopters and drones scanned the jungle, while ground teams trekked into the wilderness. Technology provided eyes in the sky, but the real work was on the ground, through mud, forest, and mountain. Operations Chief Andy Sultan confirmed, "We're using helicopters and drones to scour the area." The first 48 hours were critical. Every rescuer pushed to the limit, hoping for survivors. The unified command structure kept the operation focused and efficient. The mission: find the wreckage and, if possible, bring the missing home. The nation watched, willing the searchers on. The searchers faced a relentless adversary: the landscape itself. Mount Bulusarong's steep slopes, deep ravines, and dense rainforest made every step a struggle. No trails, just thick undergrowth and treacherous footing. Weather was unpredictable: sun one moment, thick fog the next, grounding helicopters and blinding drones. The jungle canopy hid everything. Even a crash site could be invisible from above. Only ground teams, moving meter by meter, could hope to find clues. The search was slow, exhausting, and dangerous. The mountains and mist guarded their secrets fiercely. The rescuers pressed on, undeterred by nature's obstacles. On day 2, hope and speculation surged as unconfirmed videos surfaced online. Grainy footage showed debris and a small fire on Mount Bulu Sarang, possibly the missing plane. The images spread rapidly, fueling both hope and dread. Authorities urged caution. The debris was unverified, and only ground teams could confirm its origin. Specialized teams raced to the site, searching for serial numbers or the plane's registration. The nation's focus shifted to this remote peak, waiting for official word. More resources poured into the area as hope for survivors faded. The agonizing wait for confirmation became the new reality. The search turned from rescue to recovery. The disappearance reignited concerns about Indonesia's aviation safety record. The archipelago's reliance on air travel, rapid industry growth, and challenging geography have led to past tragedies. Despite improvements, each new incident reopens old wounds and questions about safety. The ATR 42-500's loss on a government mission was especially troubling. Investigators and the public demanded answers and reassurance. The search was about more than one plane. It was about restoring trust in the skies. The nation's aviation future hung in the balance. As the search dragged on, Indonesia was united in anxious waiting. Across the country, people gathered in airports, homes, and public spaces, clinging to every scrap of news. The uncertainty was overwhelming. and the hours seemed to stretch endlessly. For the families of the 10 on board, every hour was agony, caught between hope and despair. Each phone call or news alert brought a surge of emotion as loved ones desperately searched for any sign of good news. The waiting rooms were filled with whispered prayers and silent tears, crisis centers and homes filled with worry, as every update was scrutinized. The smallest detail, a rumor, a sighting, a new theory, was dissected and discussed, fueling both hope and anxiety. The sense of helplessness was palpable. The tragedy unfolded in public, with the nation offering prayers and support. Candlelight vigils were held, and communities gathered in mosques and churches, united in grief and solidarity. Strangers became friends, bound by shared sorrow. The search became a symbol of resilience and unity. Soldiers, police, and volunteers working side by side. Teams braved harsh terrain and unpredictable weather, refusing to give up hope, determined to bring answers home. The spirit of gotong royong, mutual cooperation, shone through. Villagers brought food and supplies, and communities opened their doors to support the searchers. The entire nation rallied together, showing compassion and strength. As of January 18th, the final chapter remained unwritten. Days passed, and the sense of uncertainty only deepened, as families clung to hope while bracing for the worst. Search teams pressed on, families waited, and a nation held its breath. The world watched as Indonesia faced one of its darkest moments, united in the hope that answers would soon emerge. The missing plane was a stark reminder of life's fragility and the strength of the human spirit. In the face of tragedy, the bonds of family, friendship, and community grew even stronger. The world watched, hoping for answers hidden in Sulawesi's misty mountains. As the sun rose each day, so too did the hope that the truth would finally come to light.